Hey guys, I'm Stephanie, and this is Steph Stove, and today I've got some great things lined out for us, and we're going to be using the stove today as well as the mixer because we're going to be making a sweet treat. Today, the sweet treat we're going to make is carrot cake, and this recipe actually came to me. My husband gave it to me many years ago, right after we got married actually, and he told me the stories of how he would make this cake with his mother, and it was kind of precious to him, as well as he had an assignment one year in high school and he had to make something step by step and give the recipe, and he made this very carrot cake to take for his high school project and ended up getting a great grade, even though he said his teacher didn't believe he made it, but he did. And so I made sure I got it, and I have right here the recipe written down in his own handwriting right after we got married. So this is a recipe that's very near and dear to us, and I'll share some of that with you throughout the making of this. So with all that being said, that wonderful backstory, let's get baking some carrot cake. All right, to get our carrot cake started, we have 4 eggs, and I'm going to start off by placing them in the mixer first. Now this may seem a little counterintuitive, but it's the way this recipe goes. And I'm going to lock this down, and I'm going to mix these together just a little bit, just to where that the yolks and the whites combine just quickly. I'm going to stop, lift it up, and to this I'm going to add in 2 cups of granulated sugar. Put that to the side. I'm going to mix this together just real quickly. Sugar tends to splatter a little bit. All right, and again, we're just blending that lightly together. And to this, we are going to add 1.5 cups of vegetable oil. This is going to be a very moist and delicious cake. My ice was just making, dropping down. That's what we heard in the background there. And to this oil mixture, I'm going to add 2 containers of baby food carrots to give it a rich, rich carrot flavor. Now, it used to be when I first started making this recipe, obviously the little packets didn't look like this, and it was jars. And I do try to always get not, I would say, I think they call them stage 1. It's what the first stage, but the second one. And I'm going to put both of them in here. Let's get every drop of that so we'll have some good carrot flavor. And then get the second one in. And like I said, this just does give it such a rich, rich carrot flavor. I know some people do it the old-fashioned way by grating the carrots and so forth, but the cake was not always as moist. It did have a carrot flavor, but if your carrots were not super sweet, it wasn't the best time for the carrots, the cake didn't turn out well. And I know that my grandmother, that's the way she would make it, with the real carrots. But again, when I got this method, it definitely became my method of choice. I think some of the carrots popped me in the face. I poured them in there. And let me double check. This is Second Foods. This one particularly was called the Sitters. I guess so when the little people can sit up. And I'm going to put this on so it doesn't splatter. Now you could make your own carrots and puree them instead of the baby food. The baby food is just a lot easier. I'm just not as familiar with baby food. I know when my daughter was a baby, I made all of her baby food. I didn't buy jarred food, so The different ones I'm not as familiar with the exception of making this cake. I just happen to always buy the ones that are Gerber, or I've been very successful with a beech nut brand also throughout the years. They both work very well. So there's the only two brands I've used so that I can speak to. So this is our liquid measure, our ingredients here. So we're going to stop this and move to our dry mixture. All right, into our wet mixture, we're going to add our dry. And so our dry, we're going to mix all these ingredients together before we incorporate the two together. So here I have 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and to this I'm going to add 1 teaspoon. It's actually a heaping teaspoon, according to what David told me. And which a heaping means to just mound it up. You're not going to level it off. Of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You want to just say mix them up. You can put these in a sifter. I've definitely done that, but just lightly incorporating them with a fork just seems to always work nicely for me. And anytime you add something with cinnamon, oh, the smell is just so good. It's like those autumnal where you get ready for fall flavors and smells. Just good stuff, good stuff. All right, let's get ready. We'll incorporate these two together. I've started my mixer back on low, and I did add my splatter guard to it so I can put the dry ingredients straight in here, small portions at a time, so it will not splatter back on me. Because that's not what you want to do. You don't want to wear this. As I did tell you that this was something my husband made as a high school project, this particular carrot cake, and I thought that was quite cute when he told me. And again, he says his teacher never believed he did it or did it all by himself, but he did. And so he was so proud of himself because he's not a cook, he's not a baker, but he was really proud of this. One of the times that, to me, this recipe is more near and dear to me, other than just the little story for him, is my husband and I, right after we got married, I had this recipe. I would make it a few times for him. And one time I made it, and that was a very memorable day. It was July 31st of 1994. And I remember it very clearly because when I was at home and I was making this cake for him, and it was coming up, we had been married. That was 2 years and 11 months we had been married. And like I said, he loved this, and so I was making it. He was out that afternoon, and I was making it. But one thing happened that probably nobody wants to hear. I got a dreaded phone call, and my husband had had an accident. And that accident changed our lives. And the phone call that I got was to get to the hospital because my husband had suffered a four-wheeler accident and a spinal cord injury. And when I got to the hospital, after waiting about an hour before he arrived, I found out my husband was paralyzed. And that was quite a lot for us to go through, especially so early into our marriage. But I will tell you this, God is good, and he has sustained us through all of that, because next week we'll be married 31 years. And we have had lots of ups and downs, lots of struggles, as many of you have. But, you know, life is not always easy, but life is good. And we are blessed. So, this cake I was making that afternoon, and as a matter of fact, I got finished making it and just put it in the refrigerator. And I went to the hospital. And other than to get a quick change of clothes, I put the cake in the, in the fridge, come home, pack my bags, and I didn't come home for 8 more weeks. We were in Atlanta at Shepherd Spinal Center until we were adapted to our new life. And then we came home and we moved on. And this recipe card was still on the counter, and on the back, my brother had come out of the house to take care of our cats, and he had wrote some people that had called. And so every time I flip over, it's a reminder. But again, this cake has good memories too, because our story could have ended that night but it didn't, by God. All right, our mixture has finished, and it is a beautiful, beautiful mixture. So to this, I'm going to bake this in 2 9-inch cake pans, and I have already buttered and floured my cake pans. And one thing that I do also, if you've watched my pound cake recipe, you will see this, that I butter and grease my pans first and then put them in the refrigerator so that the butter is cold and then it melts easily and it's an easier release other than just a spray when you get it out. So I'm going to divide this as equally as I can, and some of it I'm going to eyeball it. Oh, that cake, it just looks like fall, doesn't it? Of course, carrot cake is good any time of the year. I know a lot of times I'll make this at Easter. A lot of times I do definitely make this at Thanksgiving. There's not a bad time for carrot cake. It's just good. Good, good, good stuff. Bake these somewhat even. And I did have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. And as we were fixing this, it's already come up to temperature. Just double check these. I just kind of do a feel method. This one doesn't feel quite as... Add a little bit more to him. That's a little bit more even feeling to me. And now we're going to place these in the oven, and I'm going to put them in the middle of the rack. So I'm going to have one on the top and one below, and we're going to get these baking. The cake will bake for approximately 30 minutes. You may want to check it depending on your oven at about the 20 to 25 minute mark. Mine sometimes bakes very hot and fast. So I will start checking mine about 20 minutes and with a toothpick inserted to see if we come out clean. So let's get these in the oven. Let's put these in the oven. All right, while our cake is finishing up in the oven, we're going to go ahead and make our icing for this. And this is a cream cheese frosting. I've got in my mixer 1 block of cream cheese that's been softened, a stick of butter that's at room temperature, and we are going to beat this together until it's smooth. All right, and after our butter and our cream cheese has incorporated together well, let's stop the mixer, and we are going to come in and we're going to add, unlock it. Whew, gracious, my finger slipped. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We're going to go incorporate this together. To our cream cheese and butter vanilla mixture, we are going to add powdered sugar to this mixture. And my original recipe that David wrote, it did say a box of powdered sugar. And if you guys can remember back, powdered sugar used to be sold in boxes, but now it's sold in bags that are larger. So out of the larger bags, you would need to measure out about 3.5 cups of powdered sugar for an correct equivalent. This is not something you just want to guesstimate or it will be extremely sweet. I'm just going to add this down in small batches because again, if I put all of it down there, we're going to have a little powdered sugar dust storm come up. So if you do have a stand mixer, this little chute attachment comes great, very much in handy here. I love it. I'm just going to continually, as it's incorporated, and adding it down. It's working together nicely. We're about halfway through adding our powdered sugar mixture. And there's nothing better than carrot cake with some good old cream cheese frosting to it. It just wouldn't be the same without it. All right, this last little bit, let's see if I can get it in here without spilling it. It's always a trick. I didn't spill too much. I'll take a little water guard off and incorporate this well to be sure everything is mixed together. And as our timer's going off, it's a perfect time we need to check our cake. Let's go check our cake. All right, let's check and see what we've got here. Oh, the smell, oh, amazing. So I'm gonna put the toothpick right in the center, and we want it to come out clean, just like that. So the first one on top is definitely ready. Let me check the bottom one. And likewise, it's ready. I'll take these out and they will cool and be ready for our next step. All right, as our cakes come out of the oven, you do want them to cool for several minutes. And as they start releasing from the edge, and it'll be about in approximately 10 minutes or so, as they're cooling, we can release them nicely out of their pans and get ready to ice them when they are completely cooled. And while I'm waiting, yes, I am going to make the beater. Alrighty, let's get ready and put this amazing cake together. I'm going to get this out of our pans. I'm going to shake these carefully. I'll take actually my knife here and run it across the edges. Be sure that it's loosened. And just pop it. You hear that little pop? Just kind of flopping it back and forth. Make sure to loosen it. And you can see it start to come out. So I'm going to take my hand and turn it upside down. We only got a little piece off. That's not a problem. And if this happens, guys, it's going on the bottom, so just stick it back on there. It's fine. That's the real world. That's the way it happens. All right, so we're gonna put this here in the middle. And I got our icing out of the refrigerator. You can see it's set up beautifully. So I'm gonna take a big spoonful and put right here in the middle. And give it just a minute and start working this around. I love this spatula. This little frosting blade to frost my cakes with. It's got such a wide surface, or length, not surface. It makes it so much easier. This is so good. Oh, I can just smell the cinnamon and the cake. It smells wonderful. Wonderful. And I think I'm going to come in and put just a little bit more icing right here in the middle. Here we go. I've done that just like pretty. I was like fixing this around. You can get it almost to the edges. You don't have to worry about going all the way to the edges, because again, as we are coming back with the top layer, it will continue and we'll go over the rest of it. So now let's get our second cake. I'm gonna do it a little don't like manner. Shake. This one's not wanting to come out. It wants to stay in. It's like, oh no. Sometimes, guys, the cakes just act like they do not want to come out. I'm going all the way around. Kind of loud as I'm doing. And as you'll notice on my cakes, one of them was dipped in a little bit and one was not. So whichever one it was, if the other one's not quite as pretty, the prettiest one if you want that on the top. Here it goes. It's just working around. Whew. Got one side that's flapping and one side that's not. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And I'm going to place this right on the top, and I'm going to give it a little mash to settle it down. And again, sometimes some stays in the pan, but that's okay because I'll enjoy that in a minute. So we are going to now frost the top. And I know there's a preference depending on everyone. I apologize, you can't see what I'm doing. Some people are not, I would say, side frosters, where they do not frost the side of the cake. They just put lots of frost in between and none on the side. And I've done it both ways. I don't think there's any necessarily right or wrong way to do it. It's just what do you like and what is your family's preference is the big thing here. Doesn't that just look pretty? And now I am going to actually frost on the side. So to do that, I'm just going to push some to the edge. As I push to the edge, I'm going to use my spatula here, and I'm going to work all the way around. Let it fall. Maybe a rough, kind of rustic edge. I don't, with this particular cake, I don't try to make it perfect just because, I don't know. I guess just because of it being a carrot cake, and I think of the fall, I think of more rustic times. It's just kind of the way I like it. Some people like heavy frosting on the sides, but I'm more about having it on the top and the inside of the middle layer. But again, that's by preference. We're working this around. Turning this plate ever so small, I'll just run all the way around. So I've got some more frosting here, so I'm going to keep adding to, because I do want a good layer of frosting on the top. Because we don't want to waste any of this cream cheese frosting. This stuff is amazing. Just something about cream cheese frosting, isn't it? Just make cakes so much better. Those little spots you see are where I got cake, little flecks of the cake in there, but that's okay too. And again, as I let it fall back over the edge, I will work that fallen area right here along the edges. And on top, I'm going to go around the top, and I'm going to place some nuts just around the top. You can do the entire top, you can do a little edge. Again, kind of like Bob Ross used to say with painting, it's your cake, you can do it the way you like. So I'm going to try to make a little edge here. Sometimes when I'm doing this and you're talking, I just kind of think, oh, just kind of make it the way you want to. Let it just evolve. Got a few that fell down the side there. Get out of there. back there and smooth that little edge out where the little nuts fell. Alright, there we go, guys. A beautiful, amazing, and very delicious carrot cake. I'm Stephanie.
I'm David. Have a piece of carrot cake.
I do hope you make this carrot cake recipe as well with your family and begin to make wonderful memories as well. This carrot cake has been with us for quite a while, and it shared lots of wonderful memories. So again, I do hope you enjoy it. Make it with your family. And if you do, leave me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from and if you made it. I do hope you enjoy it. Remember, we're making memories one dish at a time.